each one of you. This is the Naomi Talk Show with you, truly Liz Kenywa, and kama kawaida, I like to appreciate each one of you that has become part of the big family that we are growing to be. All thanks to you for choosing to grow us. Asanteni sana. And to anyone coming across our content for the very first time, allow me to say, karibu nyumbani. This is a safe space where in every story that we get to air, you'll be equipped, inspired, and educated to do life the way God intended for us. Because as I always say, He has the manual of how we ought to do life. Whether we feel it's a new trends that are trending and everything, and we feel like they are not anywhere, we still can look up to Him because He has the manual of how we ought to do and operate our day-to-day lives. So today, we have an interesting topic that I want us to look into. Gadget control in our houses, and schools are closed. And the seasons we are in, I guess, just after COVID, we found ourselves during COVID period that we must have gadgets in our homes for the children to engage either in their homework. Sometimes they were doing Zoom classes. And therein entered the need for Wi-Fi, the need for gadgets in our houses. Fortunately and unfortunately now, this is spilling all over and becoming more of an addiction, and we need to see how we can manage it. We feel like we are losing control. We don't know what to do. I'm speaking on behalf of parents. So I'm not speaking as an expert here. That's the feeling basically out here. So what do we need to do? What are the effects of these gadgets? And some of them I know we have felt. And of course, we'll be looking at what we need to do or the control measures we can put in place, because certainly there's something that needs to be done, especially with the younger generation, the alphas that are coming up, and those guys are almost totally dependent on gadgets. But I believe today we are going to learn how and what we can do to what symptoms we can look out for us to be able to intervene as parents, especially during this season. Tunatoka, tunawacha, gadgets wako nazo, the iPads, you know, the tablets, the smartphones, and everything at their disposal. But right there, we're also exposing them to a lot of danger. So this is what we are going to be discussing. Again, you look at it, you go to small babies when they are being fed, mtoto hawezi kula kama haujamwekea cartoon. And I wonder, how are we doing it ourselves? I don't think I am that old. Anyway, at this point, it's not about my opinion. Let me allow the expert to join us on set and introduce herself. Karibu sana.
Thank you so much, Liz.
Yes.
My name is Fidelma Gachuhi.
Yes.
I'm married. I'm a mother of 3. 2 teenagers and 1 alpha. I'm a counseling psychologist by profession. I'm also a trainer and a mentor. Thank you for the invite.
Asante sana. An interesting topic we have here.
Yes, of course.
These gadgets, are they even necessary? Let's first of all begin from there.
Okay, to some extent they are necessary. However, excessive use, that's what brings the issues, especially in terms of mental health issues, social issues, emotional issues, and so many other issues that we'll talk about.
Yes. Haya, so let's get rolling. I'm sure we have, or you have come across the effects of excessive use of gadgets on a child who is growing up. What are some of those things?
Okay, allow me to say this, Liz, before I get to that, that different children are affected differently by technology, different in their developmental stages. Like, for example, the way technology will affect an infant, it's not the same way it will affect a toddler. It is not the same way it will affect a teenager. Yes. So technology impacts differently to different developmental stages. And I don't know whether to say that even teenagers, those who are past the age of 18, they are still kids in the sense that brain achieves full maturity at the age of 21. That is for early boomers. Early boomers, they are people, their children will develop very fast in life. Late boomers, brain achieves full maturity at the age of 25. So you see, they are still in the process of their development.
The late boomer is equivalent to a 19-year-old
For sure.
who is an early boomer. Wow.
So for children between 0 to 3 years, their growth is very rapid. And so they learn a lot using their 5 senses. That's the sense of touch, the sense of smell, the sense of hearing, the sense of sight, and even the sense of, I don't know whether I've said taste. So when they are exposed to gadgets, they are not, they are not able to observe what is happening in the environment. And so in this case, they are not able to form experiences around their environment. So it inhibits that ability to observe and that ability to experience the world as they should. So one of the things that may bring effect on that is the lack of observing and experiencing their environment. It impacts negatively on their language.
Delayed speech.
Exactly.
And there are many cases these days.
Many cases.
Unapata mtoto ako 3 years and they cannot speak.
Exactly.
And they are not even autistic children.
So the problem is tagged there. It's because a developing mind, as a caregiver, you are supposed to engage a child because they are in the process of their development, their cognitive development. So if you're not able to engage the child, they may not be able to be in a position to learn language. Like, for example, a caregiver would tell a child, say mama. So they are using the child using the 5 senses, the sense of sight, the sense of hearing, and any other senses. So they are able now to pronounce back. They are also able to pick the verbal cues. Like akiona umefunga macho anajua hapa ni kubaya, there is something that nimefanya. So they learn language based on how they interact with their caregivers.
Yeah.
You see, language is it's two-way communication. I communicate to you, you communicate to me. So in the process, the child learns to communicate. So if they are so glued to the screen, they may not be able now to learn language, and it brings about issues to do with even attention. And attention is very bad, especially when it comes to development of a child who is 0 to 3 years.
Oh.
Yes, because it is through attention, and before that, there are 2 types of attention. There's that's selective attention.
Selective?
Yes, selective attention, whereby you're able to attend to one thing or to focus at one particular thing at a time. So there is sustained attention whereby you're able now to concentrate on something for a longer period of time. So when children are so much engaged in the digital devices, they may not be able to attend, to develop that attentive skills. Because they are so much glued. They are not learning what is happening in their environment. And one of the disadvantage of not learning attentive skills is the inability to form memories.
Where? Okay.
Because it's out of being very attentive that you are able to recall, that you are able to retain that information.
So is it to create or to retain?
To
retain the memory.
To recall and to retain.
Okay.
Yes.
Wow. Interesting.
Very interesting. So another problem that may come with excessive use of gadgets is the inability to develop cognitive skills. Our cognitive skills involves things that like attention also, pattern recognition. Like for example, you see when in Montessori, in the preschoolers, there is a way they are given patterns, wanachorewa na mwalimu. Then wakishachorewa, then you're given, a child is given that like he's supposed to kuendeleza that pattern.
Yes.
You see, so that pattern has an important part in terms of their cognitive development because it fosters creativity and also it fosters that ability to make decision, problem solving. So if they are so glued to gadgets, they don't have that time probably to interact with whatever is happening. They experience that delayed cognitive, delayed development of cognitive skills. Yes.
Wow. Okay. So now my question is, most of the times we are away from home as parents, and the person being left at home with this child wants to be busy.
Exactly.
Achape kazi amalize juu nikikuja nitamuuliza hii haijafanyika, hii haijafanyika, hii haijafika. So the obvious thing they do is switch on the TV or give the child the gadget, and so slowly the child gets addicted to this gadget.
Exactly.
So I was watching a documentary the other day. They were saying most of those cartoon kind of songs, names withheld, they have been configured in such a way that they are addictive to a child.
For sure.
By the color combination. So that particular cartoon has the highest viewership in the world because it has chosen very systematic colors that are addictive
To the
a child. So what is the end result is that most of those children watching that cartoon over time, they end up speaking like that cartoon, which is not what we are used to hear.
Exactly.
Number two, they have delayed speech. So they have to go for therapy sessions to be taught how to speak, how to say these things. And now you're saying they'll also have a problem of retaining memories and all that stuff. And it is worrying.
Even issues to do with, in terms of attention, they may not be able to develop executive functions. The brain may not be able to develop that executive function. Executive function involves something to do with planning. You see, planning, organizing, self-control, decision-making, memory. Yes, so it gets kind of impaired. Yes.
So what can a parent look out for to tell that, hapa hii imezidi? Because as you're saying, we are in a place where we can't really root them out completely, the gadgets. So what are those symptoms that a parent can tell, now my child has been exposed too much to a gadget because of 1, 2, 3 things?
Okay, one of the things, it's irritability. You realize they're so irritable, and they throw tantrums. So they want the immediate gratification to their needs. So it is my way or the highway. So when you realize such kind of things as a parent, it is very important to get concerned. Regulate screen time. Yes.
Well, hapo ni noma. So besides the tantrums, is there any other symptoms that a parent can tell there's a problem here?
Okay, for kids it may be issues to do with delayed language development, and we also have that inability to concentrate on important roles. Like, for example, schoolwork, assignments. The child is not in a, like, he abscond doing assignments. Sometimes they can give you an excuse of not going to school. Or even if they go to school,
They
kind
hide
of,
even gadgets.
yes, they hide gadgets. Or even they may carry 2 pairs of clothes. Akifika pale mbele anatoa, anaingia kwa this cyber. Yes, anaanza kuona video games. So that tells you there is something, even drop in academics. It can be a sign that there is a lot that is happening in the world of a child. And especially when you realize there's so much attached to gadgets, it's an alarm.
So should parents buy, no, this one is now, do you think parents should now buy their children these gadgets? And it's a tricky question.
It's a
very tricky question.
It's a tricky question, Liz. However, we are living in a world that, in as much as we would not want to have the gadgets, it is very important for the child to be exposed. However, you need to put a limit to whatever is happening in terms of gadget use. Yes, because you realize that most of the kids, they learn during the holiday, they learn through online.
Yeah.
Yes, and there is no way, as a parent, you need to go to work. But it is very important to teach these children media literacy, such that by the time, even as you give that gadget, sit with that child, educate him or her, the advantages and the disadvantages, put limits, like their parental, there's something that codes. You can put a code so that they may not be able to access certain areas that can be, that can not augur well in terms of their development. Yes.
Then at what age would you recommend that a parent can comfortably say, now I can buy my child a phone, not necessarily a smartphone, but a phone, even with those restrictions? What would be a recommended age to get your child a phone?
Oh, it's a tricky question.
Again, I know. Now here you're speaking as a mother and as a counselor, and when you speak in the office of a mother, you have the authority because at least your children are, you've seen it, you've been there, and also now with the advantage of being a counselor.
Okay. I would say this, high schoolers you can be able to buy, because at the end of the day, they'll get influenced by their peers.
Yes.
And it is important for you as a parent to just provide for him, but it is very important to tell the child, yes, I'm buying for you this gadget. However, I'm buying with one condition, that any time that I need to look at what is happening in terms of your viewership, I have access.
Kuna watu wengine, unaona mtoto akiingia Snapchat, hivi umuite tu apinduke vua, atakupatia simu and you will see nothing.
For sure.
These children are smart, very smart, especially the alphas.
For sure. The problem that we are having, Liz, is that we are raising our children in a space whereby technology is a necessity.
Yeah.
Technology is a necessity, and however much we want to restrict these children, at the end of the day, Liz atatoka kwako, your girl atatoka kwako, she'll go to a friend's house, hata ukikosa kumnunulia, to some extent ataenda na atapewa, she'll have that access. So
we feel very helpless as parents. We are not sure what to do.
So the most important thing is to regulate. Regulate on screen time. Also teach on media literacy, which is very, very important. Then again, as a parent,
Literacy
unawafunza on what is happening, wasiende wapate sites that Unaona, just that educating them on what is happening in the social media.
Oh.
So it will not be like shock on me. This is what is happening in the media, the apps and what have you. Yes.
Yeah. That reminds me, there's a day I was asked a very tough question. I had no idea that my phone has so many applications. Hapo ndio nilijambia, because my 7-year-old can navigate that phone.
For sure.
Way
For sure.
much better than me.
For sure.
For me, I can WhatsApp comfortably, can take photos, which is neither here nor there. WhatsApp, phone calls, clear phone calls, and slightly go to Facebook with it. After that, I don't think, but for him, he can dig deeper.
For sure.
And bring out applications, and you're wondering, he naye umechomoa wapi? So what you're telling us, we also need to upgrade our games.
For sure.
Tusiwaambie WhatsApp wanashindwa. So wananiambia WhatsApp.
For sure.
I rarely chat with WhatsApp. What are you telling me? Oh my goodness. We will conquer, fellow parents. We will conquer this one. So you talked of control measures. Which are some of those practical control measures that a parent can adopt?
I've talked of one of the things, one of the ways in which we can be able to control as a parent is to be a role model. There's no way, you cannot take a child where you have not been. Or monkey see, monkey do. So as a parent, if every now and then you are on the social media, you're chatting, probably when the child wakes up, uko kwa simu, late at night, uko hapo, this child learns that this is a way of life. So they adopt it. So in as much as you're telling this child not to use the gadgets, you know, you are the role model. You're mentoring them into that. And there is no way you'll have that authority over the gadget use, because you have set an example. So we are saying as a parent, it is very important to be the set person, yeah, for lack of a better, yes, thank you.
You set the pace.
You set the pace.
Another way of controlling measures?
Another way of controlling measures is you introduce limits, okay? Like for example, boundaries. For example, you can sit with your child and agree that you're going to use this gadget for 2 hours daily. So during the day, you are able to plan the day for the child. So when you wake up, you do this, you do this. So they know they have a program of activities to do. But at the end of the day, they also have a screen time. Because if you fail to give them that screen time, at the end of it all, wataenda kwa neighbor and they will get it.
So wanataka kwa unawapata kila saa kwa
Yes,
jirani.
exactly. So you limit use. Another thing is also, as a parent, it is very important. I've talked about media literacy. You take the initiative to teach them on the importance of the gadgets, such that they will not just get into the gadgets, na shock on them, like the teenagers. They get depressed. They get that anxiety. They get cyberbullied, because it's really happening. Cyberbullying, especially with the teenagers.
I'm actually going to ask, how do you deal now with the cyberbullying? Because it's a space where it's a free world, it's a free space now, and everybody is entitled to their own opinion. But then the teenagers also want to use that space to affirm themselves in that space. So then how do you cushion and do you engage the child with the topic of cyberbullying?
Okay, as a parent, it's very important to be close to your child, such that they can be able to tell you what is happening in their lives. No, that, and it has to do with attachment. How attached are you as a parent? Are your children securely attached? Are you a safe landing space for your children? Do they feel that they can tell you everything that goes on in their lives? So through that, you can now be able to pinpoint and to pick issues to realize when things are getting out of hand in their lives. For example, when you realize that they are so much in, like they are kind of they are isolating themselves. Because one of the telltale signs that something is happening in a child's life is withdrawal, social withdrawal. So when you realize that you're able now to bring them on board and to find out what is happening. So they they tell you that they're going through cyberbullying. So educate them. And tell them that at the end, normalize their feelings. I hear you. It is okay. So many people, they have gone through the same. However, it's also important to validate their feelings. Make them feel like mom amenisikia, amenielewa. She's in my space. Okay? So through that, now build on their self-worth. Build on their self-worth, because it is very important to uplift their self-esteem. Because in cyberbullying, they are brought down in terms of their feelings, in terms of the way they look at themselves, in terms of the way they process issues. What do they tell themselves? So as a parent, be there for them, walk with them, yes, and cushion them in terms of giving the relevant information, yes.
Wow, okay, cyberbullying is here to stay, in short.
Yeah, it is here to stay.
And even for adults, I think I've also realized for adults it's also happening, where it's not only teenagers that are being bullied or preteens, even adults are being bullied to the point of pushing them to depression.
Even to the point of being suicidal.
Okay.
Yes, suicidal.
Okay. It is that serious?
It is that serious.
Now that you're in that space, are there any measures that can be taken outside, you know, by those that set the rules? Do you think there's something that can be done to control that? Or we let it continue flying? Outside the parent space, because the parent has no control of who accesses the info and why the bully has to do it. But are there regulations that can be put? I don't know, just thinking loudly. Because at the pace we are moving, I think it's becoming dangerous. It
is becoming dangerous. However, there is nothing that you can do in terms of cyberbullying. The only thing, it is just to strengthen that child so that they know that even as I am going to the social media, there are consequences. I am bound to be cyberbullied. Yes. And if I'm cyberbullied, it doesn't mean that I am bad. It doesn't mean that I'm less worth. It doesn't mean that I'm not important. It is you as a again, I go back to you as a parent. You instill that confidence in your child so that they are able to face the world, come what may be.
Wow, okay. So we are coming to the close of this. These ones are usually short and precise. What would be your closing remark to parents who are concerned about gadget use and gadget control and all this that comes with these things and technology that has approached us, and they are feeling worried and concerned about their children's safety?
Come again, please.
What would be your take to advice to a parent who is feeling concerned on matters of and feeling helpless when it comes to gadget control for their children? Probably they are not there. What would be your word of encouragement to them?
Okay, one of the ways I can encourage my fellow parents is to help them realize that technology is here to stay. And it has its pros and cons. And so it is very important as a parent to be there for your child, to be the right model for your child, and to control whatever happens to your child. If you are not available, ensure that the caregiver that you've employed is able to regulate the media use, yes, or the gadgets. That is all that I can say, because at the end of it all, media is here to, technology is here to stay.
So technology is here to stay. It is not going anywhere. We shall outlive it. It is even evolving very fast. Now we are in the IA space, AI I mean, and I'm not sure by the end of next year we'll be being introduced to something else. But may God truly help us to know what to do and pick out on where we need to rise up and be of help to our children.
For sure.
So as we parent, it is important for us to realize, even as we get to a close, that there are many voices screaming for the attention of your children or screaming in the ears of your child. You need to increase the volume of your own voice by what you do, how you do it, so that it can be louder than the other voices. So that when the time comes and they have to seek help, especially when there is cyberbullying, they can always run to you as the first safe space they can land to. Are you building that relationship to be that safe space between you and your child, that they can open up when they get to these gadgets, because they are here to stay, and they enter some bad sites? And can they comfortably come and tell you, this is what happened and I have been bullied, or these ones are saying these things about me, or they simply shut? So make your voice loud, make it loud in a positive way by what you do and how you do it in cultivating the relationship with your children, especially during the holiday. God bless you. See you next time.